I can't believe how important the gold frequencies are right now. I just did a whole program with live webinars on the gold frequencies, and I had not planned this and not thought about it, but it came through very strongly. And I even wrote a chapter about it, which was a bonus chapter to the book I put out last year, Messages from the Spirits of Abundance. And the Lords of Gold were speaking and talking about how the priest scientists of the great civilizations of the past knew about gold, that it had powerful healing properties. It didn't only symbolize wealth, it has its own energy language. Astounding stuff. And yes, Brahma certainly does talk about the monoatomic gold dust, and it is fascinating. That's one of the things I image, is that gold dust coming into every cell. It's absolutely beautiful to think of.
Beautiful segue. Yeah, thanks for adding all that. I do remember that chapter. I did read that chapter in your book.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Caroline, it's Penny. Can I speak to Janet?
Go ahead, Penny. That's fine.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, Penny.
I've had all kinds of issues with the lower half of my body, like you were talking about, and all through my childhood, twisted ankles in gopher holes, pulled this and twisted that and so on. And the latest thing that happened to me happened above the waistline. I have had some wonderings about it. I know for sure that it stopped me in my tracks, and I had to have about 4 weeks of rest. But what happened was I was in a restaurant with my niece, and they had created a floor that was 6 inches higher on one part of the restaurant than the other. And at some point there, I needed to go to the bathroom, and I had seen where she had gone. I was intent on going there. I fell over. I ended up with twisted muscles and 4 impacted ribs. And I just had my last visit with the chiropractor today, and I'm good to go again, and I can feel that I am. But I'll tell you what, there were 2.5 weeks of pain that, I don't ever want to have that again. And I know that I have to slow down, and I don't know all the other reasons why this happened. The big one was to slow down and to read more and to meditate more. That I know, but I don't know what else was involved. But I do know that it took a huge physical massage to get all my muscles back into the right place. And then when the chiropractor got a hold of me and got me in the back, she said very quietly in her beautiful, calm voice, "This might hurt a bit." And I just about went through the roof again. But she did, in fact, loosen the muscles. And the interesting thing about it was I've had no bruises, nothing on the external part of my body. It's like nothing ever happened.
You're talking about muscles, and I don't know if I caught this, but did you crack the ribs?
Actually not. There was no cracking. Neither the massage therapist nor she said there's really nothing. And even if there were, it's not bad, and we can't do anything about it anyway.
Well, I was shown quickly another timeline experience where you were beaten about the ribs. So that was part of the imperfections in the etheric body that contributed to another injury. You're so right that there's always a blessing in what occurs for us. And if we need to be still and get quiet and not move as much so that we can integrate some energy, then spirit and our bodies will find a way to have that occur. So you could reflect on, Penny, when you do your meditation, just reflect on and allow to come into focus any injuries you might have sustained in a trauma, because I was seeing one. And actually, we could just clear it now if you'd like to, shall we?
Oh, I'd love to.
All right. I work with this is a crystal selenite wand, but I use it as a surrogate for an actual crystal light wand that I work with at the fifth dimension. And so just to focus on that, and they're not showing me much, it's just a glimpse, that you're in a body, it looks like a male, and there's a beating happening. And so there was injury to that part of the body. So we're just going to let all of that be dissolved back into love and hold forgiveness for whoever was injuring you. And anywhere that was a karmic experience where you had been involved in harming another person in an angry situation, whether you're protecting yourself or not, really doesn't matter. You just say, well, gee, if I ever did that to anyone else, I forgive myself, and ask for forgiveness. And we bring in the violet flame, which has the forgiveness energy, to just allow that energy to dissipate. And then calling in your divine blueprint, so you can imagine that part of your body that was affected, and you can do this later, Penny, for any part of the body that you might want to spend more time on. We just call in an upgrade to your divine blueprints, the immaculate concept of your divine blueprints, and receive them and see the part of the body that was affected, that was injured. Just imagine it completely restored, which is what I was doing when I was building a tendon. So it's just completely restored. You're receiving it. You're grateful. And I'll add, we're in a window of time when the resurrection energies are very strong. So we can work with the spirit, the resurrection frequency, and the spirit of the resurrection flame asks us to please call on her, and then to use the resurrection decree. I am the resurrection of the life of perfection. I am the resurrection and the life of perfection. And we know that first part of the decree up till the end, the life, was what Jesus was working with after his physical body's death. In the crypt for 3 days, he was working on I am the resurrection and the life over and over and over. And with help, he had 2 angels working with him, Archangel Michael and Maitreya, who is an angel. And when he had resurrected himself, he emerged, ascended in his light body. His wounds on his hands were healed. The scars to his rib cage the flesh looked repaired. And although he said, please don't touch him, for he was not of this world, he wasn't as dense as a third dimensional body. He was much lighter because he had chosen to build a light body to walk for the remainder of the time that he stayed on the earth in that position. So, Penny, how are you feeling?
That one hit me. I could feel that too. And I can use that. I've had an itch in my back for years and years. And I know working with Sonia a time, she found a time when I'd been hit in the back with an axe. So that was healed, but the itch has always remained. And so I can use this also on that itch, or maybe they're related, but I'm not sure that they're the same timelines involved. I can use that. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. The itch is caused by an etheric record of scar tissue.
Yeah.
You know how a repaired injury with scarring, then it still itches because it's not quite right. So, yeah, so you can melt away the scar tissue in the etheric and use the resurrection decree and call back in the version of you completely repaired in immaculate condition.
Thanks very much, Janet. Yeah, and I think I wrote you an email at one point to tell you that I had taken the material that you sent out on email about all the ankles and everything like that to my massage therapist who does all kinds of modalities. And she commented the same thing that you had. Yes, she said, I was just beginning to notice that people were saying that. So, all about their ankles and legs and things. So She found it very, very helpful too. So thank you again.
Oh, good. Thank you. Glad to have shared it. Yeah.
We've got Margie from Tennessee on line 2.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, Margie.
Hello, Margie. Have you got a question for Janet?
Oh, yes. I think I just repeated what Penny was going through from my knees down to my toes. I'm getting to the point where I can hardly walk because they're so numb.
Okay, so my dear, did you have an injury? Did you fall or?
I didn't fall then. I have rheumatoid arthritis in my knees, but I did fall and I did break 2 ribs about a month ago.
Oh, I see.
Today,
that was the.
Yeah, I fell again today, so I don't know what's going on with me.
So the lower legs, you're saying you don't have a lot of feeling?
Yes.
Okay, one or both?
Both.
Okay. So when I look at your energy field, I look at the etheric body. You have lifetimes of having lost or amputations of both legs, or one at a time, both. You had wartime injuries. They got shot off, they got blown up, quite a variety, actually, 3 or 4 different ones. So if you would like to now just breathe into that information, does that feel like a possibility?
Oh, yes. One of the things that I do is I go up to Richmond, Kentucky, and it's called Battlefield. And the first time I went up there, I cried, and I didn't understand. But there is a hospital up there in the old house, and that is where they did surgery, and they used to amputate.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take a nice deep breath. So whether, you had a lifetime at that particular, I get a yes that you in that location, that energy was, that location was bringing up that energy. But I get that it's not limited to on the U.S. soil, other battles, particularly in Europe with a lot of trench warfare stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, just take a nice deep breath and breathe your way through. And I'll also use my other timeline. It's called the present time wand, crystalline light wand, but I play with the selenite wand to tap in your field and break that energy up. And allow yourself to just feel love and compassion for yourself and for particularly there were men going to war, for all the men, the boys who experienced injuries or lost their lives in this lifetime, and then in any other timelines. Those of us who may be in female bodies now have incarnated as males as well. So this neuropathy, lack of feeling, it's called neuropathy, but neuroapathy, lack of sensation, frequently tracking back to other timelines with injuries. And so that I can't feel my lower legs is because they're not there at some level in the etheric body. The record is gone. So nice deep breath. Still a lot of energy moving, so I can tell that we're not just moving your energy, we're working on the planetary field. And also because we were calling in blessings and compassion and healing for anyone whose body has been injured in any way, whether they be in war, landmines, you name it. Landmines being a rather horrific artifact of war when children and people just trying to go about their lives again, long after war is over, experiencing significant injuries. So we flood all of that with light, and also to correct the etheric record of the earth carries a record of where injuries occurred as well. So she stores a record of what went on this land. So we're asking for the higher realms to assist with a full clearing of all the records in the earth and in people and in animals of injuries and harm that came to them due to war and the atrocities of war. I'm so grateful that we're all choosing to have peace now be our new frequency, and that we're not choosing to continue this any longer. It is complete.
Oh.
Margie, what are you feeling in your lower legs?
They feel better. They're not exactly where they should be, but especially the right one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
so
amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a piece of the puzzle. There's more, and I do invite you to go look at that program, because anybody's got anything going on with the lower legs, there may be layers, and like we peel the onion, and what we just did is probably a piece of it, maybe not all of the story. Okay,
yeah, I'm
thank you.
older than dirt, so I probably was here when it started anyway, and had many warriors. I thank you very much. You guys have a blessed night, okay?
Thank you, Margie.
Thanks
bye-bye.
so much, Margie. Glad you called. Yeah. So, Janet, Micah, who's on our panel here, along with Penny, he has a question, and I think it's a great one. Go ahead.
Hi, Micah.
Hi, Janet. How are you, dear?
I'm great, thank you.
Lovely to see you again. Yeah, actually, I'm just curious what your thoughts are on knees. I did a Native American teepee ceremony a few weeks back, and I actually got asked to be a worker kind of thing in the ceremony, and it required sitting up on your knees for quite an extended period of time, and I hadn't done it for a really long time. And it just ever since, my knees have been really off and out of whack, and didn't realize how intense that can be sometimes. And yeah, just curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah, thank you. So that was a rather grueling experience, and your knees weren't used to that. So no doubt the muscles all around holding the knees got a big workout all the way up. I can feel it all the way up through your upper legs and into the glutes and so forth, and the core of the body. So that's part of it, is the muscles got a bigger workout than they've had in ages. But the knees represent where we're flexible. So you could reflect on, I don't want to put you on the spot on anything personal you might not want to share, but reflect on your own life and relationships and what you're doing for work, etc. And ask yourself, are you being as flexible as spirit is guiding you to be?
Okay.
And does that message or does that question give you something to ponder and reflect on? Do you think there's something there that you're intended to perceive? We can be creatures of habit, that we find some comfort as humans in having routines and liking to do things in the same way. It saves time. It allows us to do them on autopilot. So that's an example of where we get into a routine, and some of our routines may become ruts. And so if you find yourself, and since I'm conveying as I'm speaking light codes to you, so your higher selves and you are going to get more of a message here that will help you in the days and weeks ahead. But if you find yourself where someone's saying, well, could we do this together? Or I'd like to invite you to that, or would you consider this opportunity? And if your first response inside is, no, thanks, that doesn't quite fit with my plan for the day, the week, the month, or that so Spirit's saying you are going to be, here we go. Okay. You're going to be presented with some new opportunities, which may look to you to be a little bit out of the box. And if your first reaction is quick and you say, I don't quite see how that fits in with my plan, that would be an example where they're saying it might not fit within your current plan, and yet it might be on your divine plan. So they're inviting you to just open up to the possibility that you'll be asked to be more flexible, to take an opportunity, reflect on it, instead of just dismissing it out of hand, to allow it to develop. Of course, we can ask, is this for my highest and best good? Even though it doesn't necessarily just jump at you as, oh, joy, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So that's the bigger message coming in for you, Micah. I'm hearing this is for everyone listening, that to be open for might appear unusual, out of the box kind of opportunities or suggestions that will come. And we're all invited to, instead of just saying, no, thanks, that doesn't quite fit for me. No, thanks, that doesn't quite resonate, to stop and say, let me reflect on that, and then I'll get back to you. And then go sit and be quiet to receive whether, in fact, we're being guided to shift a little bit. And maybe the opportunity, it isn't clear to us how it fits in with anything that we've been trying to create or what we're choosing. But they're saying maybe some of these things are going to be the opportunity or the place you're supposed to be or the gathering you're to be at, where you'll meet the person or have the experience that will open up a whole new trajectory where we can be of even greater service and even greater joy. And yes, it will at that point seem quite aligned with what we've been asking for, praying for, but it might not appear that way when it first shows up. So that's what I'm hearing is the big message around the knees. Let the muscles rest, and be flexible and open to new opportunities. And the other thing, of course, is a CBD salve is fantastic on, knees. So
that's wonderful. Actually, I have my own muscle and joint pain oil. I'm just out of it at the moment, but but thank you so much, Janet. You're so wonderful and intuitive, and I'm so grateful. And I'm sure hopefully our audience also got a lot out of that as well, with the flexibility and such. I'm actually just moving to a houseboat for my first time in my life to live on water for a couple of months, and that's interesting. But when that opportunity came to me, it felt right away. So I just said, yeah, okay, let's do it. But I hear you. It's very important. If it doesn't feel right away, probably maybe it's not going to help you get to your highest position or road, as you would say.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of what comes to us shows up and we go, oh, I recognize this, the energy, it's so aligned. And so it's an easy yes. It's just these other things that they're saying to all of us, be open in the coming weeks, months, year for things that'll show up and we'll go, I don't get it. Why is this showing up? And that we'll need to go within and ask, is this something I'm meant to participate and receive? And hopefully it's not like they're saying, drop everything you're doing and now for 3 months you're doing this other thing. It's probably not that, but just some opportunity of some place to be or someone to meet that will need to not reject it out of hand. If it feels wrong, well, follow your discernment. But if it just feels like I'm confused, that's when they're saying, please go tune in, listen to our counsels and guides and check, because we're going to get some surprising opportunities. It's not that they'll feel, dark or off or evil or anything, but they just we'll be scratching our heads going, I'm confused. What's this one for? And they're saying sometimes we need to stop and listen because they have a greater purpose that we might miss otherwise. Thank you, Micah. Always a pleasure.
Wonderful. Well, Janet, it's been so great to have you on. Thank you so much for being here. And I feel like we've raked you over the coals enough here. But thank you so much. And I hope our audience will really take to heart a lot of what Janet has to say, because in these changing times, our bodies really are scrambling to keep up with all of the shifts and changes, releasing the density and the trauma of other lives as well as this one, taking on this new crystalline or silicone light-based cellular structure, which is so different from the carbon structure. And oh, wow, we're really going through it. And yet, what an exciting time. Thank you so much, Janet. And again, Janet's gift, 5 steps to transform your energy, transform your health. And that's at bit.ly/transform-your-energy. And you can also book a session with Janet, heal.me. If you put in Janet's name there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Heal Me advertises a lot, so it's probably number one. If you put in Janet Doerr Medical Intuitive, you're going to find Heal Me, and then you can book right through there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, my sister. Thrilling to have you here as always, and please do come back as soon as you can. Thanks for listening. I hope you'll like and subscribe. Huge blessings. Namaste.